Barak Dayawa, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Barak Dayawa, Science Falsely So Called. And this is pretty much based off of an article that the elder MANASSEH sent me. He sent it to me this morning, or last night. Forget if it was last night or this morning. And kind of read through it, a little bit of it. Actually, I read through the whole thing. It's a short read, and pretty much, what came to mind was, science falsely so called, because this is how these devils operate, and people get tripped up because Esau uses terms that most people don't understand, so they get taken, by his the way he's able to put these words together. Now, when you understand the word science basically goes back to the word knowledge, pretty much, and which is ciencia, which is knowledge, which is, you got knowledge and you have wisdom. Now, that, those brothers that have been studying and know what's going on, that there is a left-hand side of the tree and there is a right-hand side of the tree of good and evil. And you have, Esau, which is the wicked, the nations, and even right now 2/3 of Israel that are operating on the left-hand side of the tree, which is the knowledge of wickedness, which when we read in Ecclesiasticus 19:22, it says, the knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom, neither at any time the counsel of sin is prudence. So this knowledge that Esau's pushing out there is not wisdom. And this is why the Lord is going to deal with Esau. Let's get two precepts real quick. And let's get the book of... So let's go back. Jeremiah 51:7, it says, Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. So what did Babylon, which is Babylon the Great, America, what did this golden cup contain that made the whole earth to be drunk? Well, that's this so-called American philosophy. It starts off with their so-called Christianity, with their democracy, and with their different lies that they've pushed out there, called science. Now, not all science is bad, because you have a lot of science out there that has, certain virtues to it that can be used, for good, for different things. But the science that Esau is pushing out there is that wickedness. It says the nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. And this is why these nations are bugged out, because they are buying into the philosophies of this devil. And you have Israelites, you have nations, you have different people that are pretty much taken by these scientific terms, and thinking that that's the end all be all to everything. Most people don't believe there's a good amount of people that don't believe in the Most High based off of science, and science in the hands of the devil, Esau, is going to be used the wrong way. Let's go to Revelation 17:2. With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. The wine of her fornication, like I said, you have democracy. You have the Edomite. That's the spirit. That was the spirit. The elder MANASSEH just put that precept up, and that thought just came into mind to go to this one. So it says, that's heavy. It says, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. And these devils' science is also a part of this great deception. I like to do my lessons earlier in the morning, seems to work out better. And plus, you know, it's not a whole lot of people are going live at that time, but these last few days, man, going back and forth with these damn cars, man, it's between my truck and the apostles truck and just different brothers' cars, it's just everybody's shit breaking down. So that's why I haven't been able to really do the morning edification. But it's all good though, because Satan got to do his job. So without further ado, let's go to this article that the elder MANASSEH sent me. And this pretty much is from the New York Post. It says scientists have new theory about puzzling disappearing exoplanet. Now, I never looked this term up, exoplanet. I just looked it up today. An exoplanet or extrasolar planet is a planet outside the solar system. And they said there was the first evidence of it back in 1917. All right. So this planet that they saw was something after the so-called solar system and the planets were already set up. Their theories, their different sciences was all set up. So this happened to come at a later date than everything that was already set up. That's why they call it an exoplanet, because it's not a part of the original that they put up. Now, we know when we read the scriptures, let's go real quick to St. John chapter 14 and 1. Let not your hearts be troubled. You believe in the Most High, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. So in the Most High's house is what? That's the fourth dimension. Out there in space. You have the fourth dimension, but then you also have space. So the many mansions represent what? These different planets that are out there, which is many more than just 9. See, Esau only was able to count up to 9. And then they're starting to see different things outside of what they already set down in the history books and so on and so forth. Because these devils cannot search out the heavens, which they want to do, but they can't do that. That's why they see this and they'll see that. And then what we're going to read about this particular planet here that they found, that it so-called disappeared. Right? Now, instead of saying that it was a phenomenon or if it was this or it was that, Esau tries to use terms, scientific terms and different terms to try to explain away certain things so that that person that's reading it, oh, well, the government, they said it disappeared. The scientists, they said it disappeared. So it just disappeared because this happened or that happened. Always trying to put like a theory on things. And by the way, this is dated April 20th, 2020, year of prophecy, a couple of days ago. So it says, planets disappearing isn't just the stuff of Star Wars. In 2004, the Hubble telescope spotted what appeared to be a massive exoplanet, which NASA named Fomalhaut B, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. The exciting discovery was one of the first times scientists were able to collect images of an exoplanet. However, in more recent images, it looked as though the planet disappeared into thin air. Now, researchers think it never existed in the first place. Now, notice it went from an exciting discovery to it really didn't exist, though. See, this is how Esau likes to play those word games of circumlocutions. Instead, the exoplanet, previously known as Fomalhaut B, is likely a dispersing cloud of dust. So here goes with the scientific bullshit explanations. Produced by a massive collision between two planetesimals, according to a new study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science. Oh, okay, so it's a new study by this academy. So you know what? Yeah, that's it. That's the explanation. So we don't have to go into it anymore, right? But that's how the average person thinks. because this is how Esau does it. This is how he keeps control, until the Lord takes his ass out of control, because he's always talking shit, basically. And most people are not hip enough or wise enough to see through the BS, because they believe, most people, a lot of people are starting to wake up, but a lot of people still believe whatever the government tells them, So these are just terms that Esau comes up with these different academies and different institutions that have, well-to-do scientists and this, that, and the other with all these different credentials. So that makes them authorities, right? Let's go real quick to let's see. 1 Corinthians chapter 3. So I really don't have a script for this. I got a couple of precepts that came to mind that I just got some tabs, but we're just going in the spirit, and if you brothers put up any precepts, which y'all always do, I'll try to, incorporate some of those into the lesson. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 19. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High, for it is written, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness. So what you're seeing, what you're witnessing is pretty much Esau explaining away this exoplanet, as they called it, as just a huge cloud of dust produced by a massive collision between two planetesimals. Now, granted, these devils never been out in space. They can't test anything. They don't know anything, but they just put terms on things. And then it says that, in other words, it's probably just space trash. But the whole time I'm reading about this, even before I read the article, there was a thought that came in mind, which Lord's will we get into that. It says in their study, the researchers laid out what they think happened. So what is this? What they think happened? This is nothing more than a theory. But because the devil said it, because Esau says it, is gospel to a good portion of people still. To the long lost planet. So it says what they think happened to the long lost planet. For years, the planet appeared in images as a faint mass orbiting around a star 25 light years away from the Milky Way. Before it was an exoplanet, but now it just appeared as a faint mass. It wasn't really like fully there. It was just like a faint mass, So we really didn't know what it was. We thought it was a planet outside of the solar system. But these devils are a trip, boy. But as time went on, the image faded. As of 2014, there was no sighting of the planet on any telescopes. They believed what they were really observing in the Hubble images was two icy objects colliding, leaving an impressive mass of dust that looked similar to a planet. So you see how Esau, and by this point, people are already on the hook. So they're like, oh, wow, see? Astronomers are choosing to look on the bright side. The exoplanet likely never existed to begin with, but they were saying that it did. Now it's saying it's just something faint. It was kind of vague anyway. Now it's just space dust. These motherfuckers, man. But at least the alternative explanation is equally fascinating. Yeah, to the idiots out there. These collisions are exceedingly rare, and so this is a big deal that we actually get to see evidence of one. So how do you know that these collisions actually exist if you've never really seen one? And you didn't see the two colliding with each other, these two big ice balls colliding with each other, as you claim. Andrews Gaspar, assistant astronomer at the University of Arizona Stewart Observatory, said in a statement. So because he has the credentials to be a astronomer, or that's what the scriptures speak about. Let your astronomers, your stargazers stand up now and save you from the things that are about to come. Which leads into what the thought that I had. But before I go to that, let's read this precept. 1 Timothy 6:20. O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science falsely so called. And there's a lot that's being said here. Not just because of science falsely so-called, but because of when you go into some of these words in the Greek, it goes into explanation and more explanation as to how these devils operate. So now the first word I want to get out of here before I mention that is the word profane. All right, so we're going to the word profane. It's bebalos. It says accessible, lawful to be trodden, of places profane, unhallowed, common, public place, of men ungodly. Why is it ungodly? Why is it profane? Profane meaning outside of the temple. Why is it profane or ungodly? Because it's not in accordance with the Most High's plans. In most of these cases, when it comes to science, they try to eliminate the Most High. That's why they have different things called God theories, or the existence of God, that through science you can prove that there is no God. When the scriptures say the fool has said in his heart there is no God. You know? So this is what it is. It's science is beneficial to certain degrees, but in most cases they're trying to explain life and explain man from a perspective that leaves the Most High completely out of it. Which leads us to the next word. That was profane. Leads us to the next word, which is, well, vain babbling. Let's get to this one. Well, this is what Esau does. Vain babbling. A bunch of circumlocution. Kinophonia, with the word phono, which is like sound. All right, so kinos, phonos. Okay, which is vain sounds. Empty discussion. Discussions of vain and useless matters. Salaka, man. Empty discussion. Discussion of vain and useless matters. And this is what Esau's whole, look at that, fruitless discussion. Empty sounding. This is what Esau's whole existence is all about. Vain, profane, and empty babblings. You know, circumlocutions. Which leads us to the main word here, which is the word what? Opposition. Which is antithesis. So an antithesis is a thesis or a theory that goes against something. And in this case, what are we talking about? We're talking about the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And everything that Esau does is to disprove that there is a God. To give explanations of how the world was created, how man was created through a big bang, and leave the actual beauty, creativity, the actual art of the creation of the Most High's beauty on the planet, you know, and the planets and everything. Because they're trying to push the Most High out through what? Through their antithesis, which are theories that are against the Most High. So the antithesis is opposition, that which is opposed. And why? Because they are the left-hand side of the tree. They are the left-hand side energy. There are two opposing forces on the planet, good and evil. And there are two nations on the planet that are the two opposites and opposing forces. You have Jacob, the so-called Negros, Latinos, Native American Indians, which are the Israelites. And you have Esau, which are the so-called white men and their tribes and counterparts. You know, where they're men, women, or children. So those are and they are the wicked. Those are the two opposing forces. And that's what you see on the earth. You have the ones fighting for righteousness, and you have the ones fighting for wickedness. You have the ones pushing righteousness through the words and existence of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and you have those that are pushing their vain opinions, their profane, vain babblings, you know, which they give homage to who? To Satan. And what's crazy is that Satan himself is a son of the Most High, and he works for the Most High. You see? But they're still in opposition because that's exactly who they are. Job 13:4. But ye are forgers of lies. Ye are all physicians of no value. Because what do? They're forgers of lies. Because to forge something means what? That there is an actual original that was being forged or doctored up to make it look like something else, which is what? Which is a lie. And we know that the scriptures say, let's go real quick. I think that might be in 1 John. 1 John 2:21, I have not written unto you because you know not the truth, but because you know it, and that no lie is of the truth. So there's no lie of the truth. The truth is so pure that nothing can be mixed in it. Because if there's a tinge of lie in the truth, guess what? It's not the truth. So there's no lie of the truth. So what Esau is doing is he's trying to denigrate, look that word up, the truth. All right? And we know that there's no lies of the truth. You know? Beautiful. Elder Menachezakba, 1 Timothy 1:5. Now the end of the commandment is charity out of a pure heart and of a good conscience and of faith unfeigned, from which some having sworn have turned aside unto vain jangling. That's right. Because the truth is pure. So going back to Job 13:4, but you are forgers of lies. So let's look up this word forger, which is a word tapal, to smear, plaster over, stick, glue. So what is it? It's copy and paste, or there's another term for it. There's an art term for it, where they it's like iconoclasm, but they take an image and they cover over the original, like an iconoclasm, It says, so to smear over. So what is it? What are they smearing over? They're smearing over the truth. But the truth is so pure that no matter if you smear over it, the truth is always going to prevail and come up afloat. Just like that buoy. You could take a buoy and bring it all the way to the bottom of the ocean. And guess when? As soon as you let it go, what do you think is going to happen with that buoy? It's going to keep shooting up until it gets to the top of the water. And that's how truth is. It's pure. It can't be tainted. It can't be held down. It can't be bargained with. It can't be altered. You can lie. You can say this, that, the other. But eventually the truth is going to come out. That's why the Lord said that everything that you say or do shall come to the light. 2 Ezra 6:28. As for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome. By what? By the truth. And the truth, which hath been so long without fruit, shall be declared. And the word declared, de is of, and clear is clear. Of, clear, or to make clear. So the truth is being made clear now. And this is how the Lord is exposing Esau. By this truth. And we're going to get to that precept anyway. So let's go back. So the word forgers of lies. Forgers to smear, plaster over, stick, glue. So what they did was they photoshopped it, They try to photoshop the truth with their science and with their different demonic activities. Like you take something, you Photoshop it, you get a picture, and then you add somebody in the picture or take somebody out of the picture. So that's not the real picture. That's a forgery because you either added or took away somebody out of it. And that's what Esau's so-called truth is. It's a forgery of the truth. Because they have to use the truth. They have to use the power of the book in order to be able to concoct a lie. Because you cannot build a lie strong enough if you don't have part truth in it. And this is what Esau does. So they're forgers of lies. The word lies is shaquar. Lie, deception, disappointment, falsehood. See? So it's a deception. And it's a falsehood. Of what? Of the truth. And that's where the Lord said that they are forgers of lies. They are cunning. They are very cunning in the way that they bring forth their lies. And one of the very first things that they did when they were loosed out of their prison sentence was what? To lie to the whole earth. Let's go to Revelation 20:7. And when 1,000 years are expired, Satan, which is who? Esau. The so-called white man, the beast with the 7 heads and 10 horns, their whole power structure. So once they were loosed from that prison sentence, so to speak, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison and shall go out to what? To deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth. And how did they deceive them? By putting themselves up as the authorities, as the pictures of the Heavenly Father and of the Messiah, of the angels, of the Israelites, of the people of the Lord, of the great people of the world that created everything, that had the greatest civilizations ever. And then from that point on, they used their science to further deceive the people. All right, so now let's go back. So they're forgers of lies. Just thinking about something. You're forgers of liars. It's lies. Oh, lies at the water, brother. Inside joke. So, yeah, but yeah, forgers of lies. So now let's move on from there. Okay, we read this. Now let's go from there to 2 Thessalonians 2:1. Now remember, let's keep in mind that we read, where was it? What scripture was that we read? Where we were dealing with, that was this one. Okay, opposition, which is an antithesis. I want to keep this because I want to go back to that. 2 Thessalonians 2:1. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Yahushua and by our gathering together unto him, that you be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that the day of Yahushua is at hand. And it goes on to say what? Let no man deceive you by what? By any means. Because there was going to come a time when this devil was going to be loosed and the truth was going to be forged and so-called, and not the truth being tainted, but his truth being brought out, which would cover the truth for a period of time. Beautiful. Right on time. Elder Manat Zakba. Isaiah 29:16. Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as a potter's clay. For shall the work say to him that made it, he made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding? The brother... Okay. Salaki, brother, I'm just going to just pick and choose certain... Okay, here, Luke 8:17. For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad. And we're witnessing that. We're actually witnessing, we're witnessing the actual truth smashing down all the lies of Esau. It says, so let no man deceive you by any means, that for that day shall not come except they come a falling away first. And that goes back into the history, dealing with 70 AD and how Israel fell, which is roughly not too long after this period. It was around this time period when the Apostle Paul wrote some of these letters. It was like towards the end of his life, just before, that was just before the actual besieging of Jerusalem. And that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. So the man of sin being who? Esau. And the man of sin was already at work, because the man of sin came on the planet, or came on a planet. That goes way back. It goes back to the time of Esau. But they started taking force and rulership over the planet going back to the time of the Greeks. And this is why we read in the book of, let's go real quick to the book of Wisdom of Solomon. I'm sorry, not Wisdom of Solomon. I don't know why I was thinking about that. First Maccabee, the 1st chapter and the 7th verse. So Alexander reigned 12 years. Alexander, they call the Great. We call him the Greek or the Freak. So Alexander the Great, or Alexander, reigned 12 years and then died, because he conquered the known world. This is when the Greeks were able to subdue the known world at the time, and they pushed something called Hellenism upon the earth back then. And his servants bear rule, everyone in his place, meaning that the men, the generals that came up under Alexander to help him conquer, they took over his empire and split it up among themselves. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. Why? The evils were multiplied on the earth because the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. You know, and they are the ones, when Esau took over, that's when wickedness became exceedingly polluting. Let's go from there to the book of, there's a precept that came to mind. I'm trying to remember it. Yep, Proverbs. Proverbs 29:16. When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth. So when they started to multiply, these Greeks, which are Edomites, evils were multiplied on the earth. It says, when the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth. Means it increases. What is transgression? Transgression is the breaking of the law. It's wickedness. It's the opposite of righteousness. But the righteous shall see their fall. And we're at the point where we're witnessing their fall. So we know that when they came into place, into power, because the beginning of Esau really ruling the planet came through the Greeks. And when they took over, being that they're the wicked, they're the Edomites, evils were multiplied in the earth. So going back to 2 Thessalonians 2:3, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed. And what's happening? The veil is being put out. The veil is being uncovered. How are the things that Esau searched out? The son of perdition. The word perdition means destruction, or the son of the lost. The ones that are going to lose. In other words, be destroyed. And they are those. And this is why they were created. They were created for the sole purpose of being destroyed. Let's go to Proverbs. But before we go to Proverbs, let me get another precept that just came to mind. And then we can come back. All right. So Proverbs 16:4. The Lord hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. And that's what they were created for. They were created to be destroyed. They were created for the purpose of showing the world the fruits and the reward for being wicked. They are the people of the Lord's curse. Romans chapter 9, verse 22. What if the Most High, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endured with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction, which the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction are the Edomites. Excuse me. When you read this chapter, it's basically dealing with Jacob and Esau. And Esau, they are the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction. And they were created as such. So going back to 2 Thessalonians 2:4 now, which is the point, who opposeth and exalted himself above all that is called the Most High. And when we look up this word opposeth, we got the word again. Well, this one here is anti-kaimai, which is anti, and kaimai is lie, laid, be appointed. So let's read what it says. To be set over, against, opposite to oppose, be adverse to, withstand. So they were the ones set up to withstand and oppose everything that's righteous that the Most High set up. To be contrary, as it says right here. To be contrary. That's why it says that if there be any profane person as Esau, because the Edomites are profane outside of the temple. They are not created to do the right thing. They are created to do the wrong thing. They're the original can't do right because they were created for such. And this is why we read in 1 Timothy, the 6th chapter, when it spoke about science falsely so-called, we read the word opposition, which is antithesis, which is to go against the true theory. And the true theory, or the truth is that there is a God. There is a power. His name is Yahweh. He has a son. His son's name is Yahushai. He has a people. His people's name are the Israelites. There are Edomites on the planet that are playing the part of the wicked, but they're trying to cover all this up by their theories that go against what the Most High set up. And that's all they do is go against everything that the Most High created. In other words, anything he created in righteousness. So they're opposed to it. They're adverse to it. They withstand it. They set themselves over against it. They become rebellious against the Lord. They become adverse, as it says here. Opposite. The opposite of good is what? Bad. The opposite of cold is hot. So on and so forth. Which leads us to Ecclesiasticus 33 and 10. And all men are from the ground, and Adam was created of earth. In much knowledge, the Lord hath divided them. See? And made their ways diverse, especially Jacob and Esau. And the other nations, if you look at them, they all have a mannerism about them. And they are different. The Elamites are different from the Hamites. The Hamites are different from the Ishmaelites. They all have a certain difference among them. But the main two opposing forces is what? Jacob and Esau. Right? So he made them diverse. Some of them had he blessed and exalted, which are who? And some of them he sanctified, which are the Israelites, and set near himself. But some of them hath he cursed and brought low and turned out of their places, which is who? Esau. They shall build, but I will throw down. It says, as the clay is in the potter's hand, which is what we're reading, what the Apostle Paul was one of the scriptures he might have been quoting from, because this is also in the book of Isaiah, to fashion it at his pleasure. Why? Because the Most High is the potter, and we are the clay. The Lord took one lump, which is Isaac, and created a righteous people and a wicked people out of that same lump. The Lord did the same thing with Adam. Out of that lump, he created the righteous and the wicked, which is Abel and Cain. So man is in the hand of him that made him, to render to them as liketh him best. Because at the end of the day, this is the Most High's program. This is Yahweh Bashem Yahushai's program. Good is set against evil, and life against death. So is the godly against the sinner, and the sinner against the godly. So look upon all the works of the Most High, and there are two and two, one against another. See? So they're two and two, one against another. Because the Most High created that duality. So let's go to the same book. You know, you brothers already know where we're going. Isaiah 42 and 22. Oh, how desirable are all his works, and that a man may say even to a spark. All these things live and remain forever for all uses, and they are all obedient. All things are double one against another, and he hath made nothing imperfect. See? Because he made Jacob perfectly righteous, and he made Esau a perfect devil. And they are in their perfection. What? No, you flat earth bug out. Oh, Lord. I'm glad you got that. Yeah. Go somewhere else. Here it is. We're not even talking about no earth or none of that. We're talking about, anyway. We're moving on, man. So, here in 2 Thessalonians, it says, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High. And this is why they have these antitheses. You have to have that opposition. The Most High created both. Let's go from there to Isaiah 45 and 7. It says, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. So the Most High is the one that created all these things. Just bear with me 1 second. Job 23 and 8. Behold, I go forward, but he is not there, and backward, but I cannot perceive him. On the left hand, where he doth work, but I cannot behold him. He hideth himself on the right hand, and I cannot see him. Because the Lord, he's working on everything, multitasking on everything. Every work out there, the Lord is multitasking. He got all these works going. Let's see if I can find this one here. Right here. Lamentation 3:8. Out of the mouth of the Most High proceedeth not evil and good. So the Most High is the one that's given all these decrees. He created everything. He created the good and he created the evil. That's a perfect balance. It says, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worshipped. And they are worshipped as if they are a God or the power. So that he as the Most High sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is the Most High. And this is where you get that iconoclasm from and that great deception. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things. Right? So now, it just came back to mind. Salakia, you're going to go back a little bit. Here we got this whole so-called, this scientists have new theory about puzzling disappearing exoplanet. So now this planet that they called a planet, they said it disappeared and they ruled it as being space trash, space dust, two big ice things colliding against each other, and that was just the dust that came out of it. That's why it disappeared. Now, when I was reading about, or when I first read the title of this, all I could think about was this big giant ship that Yahushua is coming in. All right, let's go here. 2 Ezra 13 and 1. And this is what, more than likely that is. Because remember, the Lord can cloak. They can appear, the chariots can appear, and the chariots can disappear. So it could be that was the actual chariot, and then it just went into it cloaked, to where Esau can't see it on their with that Hubble telescope, which they're so proud of. You see, because at the end of the day, here it is. Esau got, he could have cloaking devices, but the Most High can't have that. Who do you think they got the knowledge and technology of to do that? From the Lord. So here it is, this devil got military men that could put on certain type of fatigues, and they could flick a switch and they could just disappear in plain sight, where they're still there, but you can't see them. But the Lord can't have that. The Lord created you, fool. So, this is just, my belief on that. I could be wrong, but I believe that was a chariot that they saw, and it just pretty much just cloaked itself, to where they can't see it, because it's getting closer and closer to the time when the chariots are coming to the earth. And that's where there's so much more sightings of them all around the earth, because they're already in place, just waiting for the word from the Most High to get busy and do their thing. So it says, 2 Ezra 13, I go to 3. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. What man? Yahushai. The thousands of heavens being who? The armies of the heavens, which are the angels. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen unto him, because that's going to be a spectacular, horrifying sight, man. Like in the movie Independence Day. Let's see if we could get that. Independence Day. Fire. I'll just put fire cloud. Let's see what comes out. Fire cloud. Fire clouds. Can't think of how to frame. Oh, here we go. So can you imagine? I just took the sound off so they don't give it a strike. This is not for any monetary gain. It's just for educational purposes. Oh, and by the way, on my Spanish site, I just set it up. I put up videos, old videos, and the videos I put up pretty much was breaking down the name of the Most High, and they already they already deleted one of my videos, and gave me a warning. Just started uploading to that page. Goddamn devils. So now can you imagine this sight? Here it is. You can see there's something huge that's shadowing, everything. See? And look at that. Can you imagine? And a chariot is going to be far bigger than that. Look at that. So can you imagine the looks on people's faces and the horror that's going to happen or that they're going to see when these things happen? That's why it says men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things that are coming upon the earth. And they got this from Ecclesiastes. I'm sorry, Ezekiel. I don't know why I say Ecclesiastes. They got it from Ezekiel. Let's go real quick. Ezekiel, I believe that's 1 and 4. Ezekiel 1 and 4. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north. And they know that these whirlwinds are talking about the chariots. A great cloud. Because it was a decent sized ship. And a fire enfolding itself. And a brightness was about it. And out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. So these devils know. All right. So that's why I said that all the things trembled that were seen under him. Even the elect that get beamed up into the chariots are going to be praising the Lord and nervous. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. Because the Lord said that I am come to send fire on earth, and what will I if it be already kindled? And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number. That's Armageddon, from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. Because these fools are going to be fool enough to think that they're going to be able to fight against his power. And this is why this devil, Trump, created something called a space force. And there have been speeches from different presidents going all the way back to, I believe, Eisenhower was the first one that spoke about it. They gave certain speeches about these chariots. Now they got something called Space Force. And that's why they made this movie too. Because this movie, as you progress along in it, they had the fighter jets coming trying to fight against it. It says, but I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew up upon it. So that great mountain was a great chariot. And it was so big that Ezra compared it to a mountain. Right? Excuse me. But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. So he looked on the earth. He said, there's got to be something missing down here. There's got to be a mountain missing somewhere. This mountain came out of somewhere. He was looking for a part in the earth where a big chunk was missing. But he said he couldn't find it. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet there's fight, because the Lord's going to put the Spirit upon them. Because can you imagine something like that coming? And then these military men flying in jets and in tanks and all of that, helicopters, seeing this and be so afraid, but then have the will to still try to fight. It says, and lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. But only I saw that he had sent out of his mouth, as it were, had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. Because that's the fire that he's coming to bring. That's some chariots, concentrated laser beams. And you could read also about that in the book of Habakkuk, the 3rd chapter. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight. And that's talking about all these armies that were come massed together to fight against Yahushua, and burned them up every one So that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude, that innumerable multitude is what? Armageddon, nothing was to be perceived but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid, because it was a horrible vision. You know, that's why I said that all the things trembled that were seen unto him. So the Lord gave Ezra a front row seat to when Yahushua comes to destroy all these different armies and militaries. Because remember, when the kingdom is established, there's not going to be any more wars. There ain't going to be whatever's left of ammunition wise and tanks or whatever is going to be burnt up by spiritual power. The men of the Lord are going to go around destroying any weapon that is left on the planet, because there's not going to be any more war anymore. That's going to be a thing of the past. World War III will be the end all be all. There's even I don't know if there's scientists or whatever the case is that say that if World War III is fought with nuclear missiles, World War IV would be fought with sticks and stones, because that would wipe out the function of everything on this planet, you know, as they have it today, you know, and it's going back to that because the Lord is going to totally destroy it to renew it back again, because it needs renewing. All right. So let's see where we at. Yeah, pretty much. You know, that's pretty much it. You know, because I have some more precepts here, but it's kind of going into something else. But you know what? Let me just hit it. You know, we still got a couple of minutes left. 2 Corinthians 11:3. But I fear this by any means, as a serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety, so your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Yahushua. Why? Because these devils are creating these miraculous things that is going to deceive the masses of people out here, and to taking this mark of the beast, which is a microchip, and to bowing down to the New World Order, so-called New World Order, so on and so forth. It says, for if he that cometh preaches another Jesus, whom ye have not preached, or if you receive another spirit which you have not received, or another gospel which you have not accepted, you might well bear with him. Because these, and as you read on down, it speaks about the false apostles. You know, that Satan turned himself into an angel of light, transformed himself into an angel of light. So this is a part of all of that deception. And this science that these devils have, this is a part of their great deception. These different terms, because they've set themselves up in power, so whatever they say, a lot of people accept. All right? So now let's move from there. Let's go to Galatians 1:6. I marvel that you are so soon removed from him that called you into the grace of Yahushua unto another gospel, which is not another, but there be some that trouble you and would pervert the gospel of Yahushua. And Esau is doing that. And that's why they got something called plantation Christianity out there. You know? It says, but though we are an angel from heaven, preach any other gospel unto you than that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed. As we said before, so say I now again, if any man preach any other gospel unto you than that ye have received, let him be accursed. Remember, they have that deception, and they have a lot of Jakes that are helping with this deception. You have Jakes out there fighting against the truth of being a Hebrew Israelite just to push white supremacy, just to keep Esau on top, and they will be destroyed. Now let's go to Wisdom of Solomon. I got like 3 precepts and we could close out. Wisdom of Solomon 4:10. He pleased the Most High and was beloved of him, so that living among sinners he was translated. This was dealing with Enoch, when he was translated from the midst of wicked people. Yea, speedily was he taken away, lest that wickedness should alter his understanding, or deceit beguile his soul. Because if it were possible, they would deceive the very elect. But they can't deceive the very elect, because they are the elect. For the bewitching of naughtiness doth obscure things that are honest. See? Because they, by constantly pushing that out there, they eventually break people down. And the wandering of concupiscence doth undermine the simple mind. Okay, now let's go from there to Proverbs 12:26. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth them. Because Esau with this technology is doing a lot of miraculous things that's going to deceive everybody, especially Jake. All right? And one more, Revelation. Oh, no, that's not it. The one, okay, it's right here. Psalms 125:3. For the rod of the wicked, which is the correction of the wicked, shall not rest upon the lot of the righteous, meaning the spot of the righteous, lest the righteous put forth their hands unto iniquity. So the Lord has to take this devil out. Because if it were possible through their deception, they're so cunning in their deception that they would almost deceive the elect. They said if it were possible, they would deceive the elect, because the way that they work, the way that they've what's the word I'm looking for? Push their magic out there. You know how they wield that magic, and that's why a lot of people are taken by it. Matter of fact, let's leave you with this last one, 2 Corinthians, because the only escape is to be the elect and to receive this truth, accept Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and this truth, and this will be your ticket out of here if you're a part of the elect. But there is a block there to where the ones the Lord doesn't want cannot get there, cannot receive this. And the Lord is using Esau and other Jakes too, and other nations, but mainly Esau, to block people from getting to this through their deception. And that's what the scriptures speak about, their conscience being seared with a hot iron. 2 Corinthians 4:3, but if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost. Lost to what? Lost to the truth. Because if they come to the gospel, the Lord will have to convert and heal them. It says, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not. Through what? Through his technology. Through those, through what this AI that he's given life to. Through his deception. Lest the light of the glorious gospel of Yahushai, who is the image of the Most High, should shine unto them. And if it shined unto them, what would happen? They would actually wake up. So only the elect are going to wake up. And only the elect are going to receive this. And matter of fact, let's finish out in 2 Thessalonians 2:6. And now you know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in this time. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work, because Esau was already in power back during the time of the Romans. Only he who now letteth will let, which is the Most High, until he be taken out of the way, because they still had to fulfill their lot. And then shall that wicked be revealed, when what? When he's ready to be taken down, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, which are the prophets, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, which are the lasers from the chariots and the nuclear missiles. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. And we can see how they achieved this through their technology. And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And this is dealing with the Israelites. They will be deceived in unrighteousness and perish, because they will not receive the love of the truth, which is this word. It says, and for this cause the Most High shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. You know? So pretty much, Science Falsely So-Called was the name of this one. Based off of this video that Elder Manatazak sent me. He sent it to me this morning. Scientists have new theory about puzzling disappearing the exoplanet, and they're always trying to use different terminologies, science-based or not, to explain away something. Like the Most High doesn't do any miracles. It's just whatever they say, whatever they explain it, however they explain it. And most people are not, aware enough to be able to see through the BS. So with that, I pray that you brothers have been edified. The water, for brothers coming on the common board, shalom to you, Akim, elders, Akwath, the water for all the precepts you brothers put up there, man. They do help a lot, and it's just a spirit, There's there's like one lesson, but it's in two parts, you know. So with that, I pray that you brothers have been edified. To the next time I say shalom. Their deception, they're so cunning in their deception that they would almost deceive the elect. They said if it were possible, they would deceive the elect, because the way that they work, the way that they've um, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Push their magic out there.